Hey guys, and welcome to the very first Patreon video of the season with me, Jim, Punk Raider, and Denver Dave around in the boxes. And for this week, I thought we'd look at the kind of panic time potentially for the teams that haven't chalked up a win yet. There are 6 teams that are either 0-2 or 0-1-1. So I just wanted to get your opinion, guys, on what the franchise should be doing. Should they be panicking or should they be just chilling out a little bit, just calling the Jets? So there are 2 teams, 0-1-1. They are the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. What do we think?
Need a new quarterback.
Colts need to hit the big red button.
The problem is that their run offense has not been as stellar as we thought it would be. Matt Ryan has not been the answer to their prayers at the moment. Jim Irsay, hasn't thrown him under the bus yet. We know how much he loves doing that after a bad performance. But yeah, the Colts were absolutely terrible. I mean, like really, really bad. You should stop short of tearing it up and starting again. But who's the Colts got this week? I'm just trying to look now. Chiefs.
Yeah, nice easy one. Nice easy comeback game for them.
Yeah, best of luck. I want to have a look through there. Then they got the Titans a week afterwards. Titans divisional game, former number one pick.
They're not looking as good this season as they were.
Oh, they're going to lose the game after that as well. They got the Broncos after that. Oh, chin up.
Oh, 9-6 thriller.
If we're lucky.
I would definitely be more worried if I was the Colts than if I was the Texans, which is a weird thing to say. But
yeah,
the way the trajectories are working is like the Texans would be expecting to be around this level, whereas the Colts would expect to be 2-0, right, at this point.
I also think the Texans have had a few bright spots. I mean, the running game's working reasonably well. Brandon Cooks looks like he's doing bits for them. I don't hate what the Texans are doing. I think they've got some pieces there and the start of something decent. I think the problem, like you said, the problem with the Colts, Dave, is that they can't get the running game going. And without a running game, Matt Ryan at 38 or 39, whatever he is now, is not going to march you down the field throwing the ball 55 times a game. So,
let's not forget also the only reason the Texans are winless so far is because they went to Mile High and just gassed out in the fourth quarter, which a lot of teams do purely because of the altitude, not because of Denver's skill. But also they're only winless because they gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter in week 1 when they played against the Colts. The Colts managed to snap defeat from the jaws of victory. Neither team was good enough to score a point in overtime. And that might be as good as it gets this season, a fourth quarter 17-point comeback, because they do not look good enough at all. But it's exactly what we said for the Texans. You need to see development. And so far, compared to last season, we've seen that. They've been competitive in both games that they've played. They should have won week 1, and they very could have easily won week 2.
The other thing to remember is that it is still only week 2.
Yeah.
This is a 17-game season. It is a marathon, not a sprint. It's not as. I know all the stats will tell you that teams that start 0-2, 0-3 never make the playoffs, and this, that, and the other.
Texans aren't the playoff team.
But there are more chances now with the way, especially in kind of the kind of lesser divisions, shall we say, than the AFC West, and there are more chances for teams to get themselves back into it.
There's an extra regular season game as well. So that's only been around for a couple of years.
Exactly.
So that stat goes back a bit further than that, I guess.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, if you look at the Texans, if they don't give up 17 points in that fourth quarter, then they start 1-0. And if they were at home against the Broncos rather than away, they would have won that game. So they would be unbeatable. They're not unbeatable, but they would be unbeaten. So it's fine margins for the Texans. It feels similar to the Lions last year. Lions were losing really close games, and it was fine margins. Texans will be that this year. There's nothing wrong with that. Losing games, by very fine margins is better than where they were the season before, and it's all about progression. That's all it's about. Progress. So no panic button for Houston. Colts, come on, man. What you lot
Colts have got to at least show some fight against the Chiefs and Titans to,
they're going to hope the Pittman's back because he wasn't there at the weekend. So.
I mean, they let's assume for a second they're going to lose against the Chiefs. The Titans game becomes an almost must-win for them. and it'll
And they
be
lose
week
against the
4.
Titans, then they've
you
got
know?
the Broncos. And if the Broncos are on form at that point, might be, might not be, they could be starting 0-5.
It could be.
In reality, it's genuinely possible. Jesus, that's scary. But yeah, Colts look pants. Their best defensive player at the moment is a guard. That's not a good position to be in.
But those two teams have got half a win more than 4 other teams in the NFL.
Mm.
So let's talk about those 4 teams quickly. Then the first one, the Carolina Panthers. They obviously had, I think we can still call it an upgrade from Sam Darnold to Baker Mayfield, but he hasn't really brought that chip that we thought he was going to do of how he was let go in Cleveland.
Well,
And they just haven't seemed to push forwards enough to get wins. I scratched my head about these Panthers teams.
They're really not getting McCaffrey involved enough either. It's almost like they've gone to Baker and said, okay, Baker, it's your team, you lead it. When actually what they need to do is go back to what they've done the last few seasons and use McCaffrey more and then use Baker just to support.
But they broke 100 yards for McCaffrey on the ground against the Giants. Yeah, it took a while. And I think the first half was just too slow from both of the teams.
I'd agree with that. I think the first half at the weekend was pretty dreadful, to be honest. It was, the game would pop up on Red Zone and I'd kind of like, I'll go and make a cup of tea or something at that point,
Yeah. I'm. Do you know what? I'm less concerned about the Panthers. Defensively, I think they're fine. I think they're absolutely sound. A lot of young talent on that defensive side of the ball as well. When you've got McCaffrey, it gives you the ability to play. So I think they're fine. They lost against Brown by 2 points in a game that they probably should have won. They lost against the Giants by 3 points in a game they probably should have won. It's fine. They're not the Colts. They're not getting blown out by bad teams. They're losing close games. Okay, I can live with that.
But the
They're not scoring
Falcons,
many
then.
points.
How about the Falcons then? The second team at 0-2.
They did well against the Rams, I think, but it goes back to what we said on the main pod. How much of it was Miami and how much of it was
LA
the
Rams.
No. How much of it was Miami? How much of it was the Ravens?
Okay.
How much of it in this was the Rams and how much of it was the Falcons? It's difficult to know, but I mean, they played really well in the game. Situational play was really good. So yeah, I have to take my hat off to them.
The thing I'd say with the Falcons is that they seem to play a little bit kind of under wraps the first game and a half, and then it was almost like they just took the reins off and said, "Look, 35-14 down or whatever, just go for it. Just throw the ball down the field. You've got receivers there. London's good. Pitts is good. You can do that. All right, Mariota's never going to win you an MVP, but he's a serviceable quarterback, and he's proven previously that he can throw the ball down the field. So I think some of it is just the coach is keeping a little bit too tight a rein on the Falcons, not maybe being as explosive as they could be in their play calling. That might change this weekend where they play a Seahawks team that they feel like they should probably beat. But we'll see what happens.
I like the idea.
Though. Falcons are building, but the Falcons always seem to be building. That's the problem. They never seem to have built. Yeah,
I like the idea that they go into a game, thinking, if we keep it close, we've got a chance. No, you haven't. I like the idea that they genuinely believe they're not a bad team. It's like, look, you're pants. Go out and windmill and hope you catch them on the end of the chin and put them down. All right, that's the best thing you can do. Is go out there and score on your first drive. Really go for it. Score on your first drive. I hope that the team you're playing go 3 and out. Score on your second drive. All of a sudden, you're 14 points up. That takes away the opposition run game, and you can squeeze the backfield.
In the NFL, momentum is a huge thing.
Yeah,
the fact that they almost came back on the Rams should give them confidence going into a game against the Seahawks.
Is the Seahawks game at home or away? Because
it's in Seattle.
Oh, it's a long way. It's a long way.
It is.
Up there as well, it's wet. It's not in the dome that they used to.
That's true.
That's proper noise, not pumped in sound as well.
I'd still go Falcons, I think I have on playactionpools.com. That's playactionpools.com. I think I have gone the Falcons. I can't remember now.
Can't go and Seahawks on that one. I can't trust the Falcons.
I can't trust the Falcons. I wanted to go Seahawks, but I chose Falcons in the end, just so there's a couple more differences between what Jake picked and what I've picked. But
The Falcons against Seahawks though feels like a thumb war. There's no muscle either side of it.
yeah,
there?
no, exactly. You can't tell really who's going to do what. But
Don't make mistakes and you'll win the game.
I mean, it could be an absolute barnstormer of a 45-43, but
It won't be.
I don't think the Falcons are going to panic. I don't think they went into the season thinking, oh, we could maybe sneak the playoffs or anything like that. I think they understand that, they're in a situation where they are rebuilding. They have got these offensive pieces. For them, it's more about a learning process this season, and then, maybe taking a bigger step next season.
You told me 2 years ago that an NFL game starting quarterbacks would be Geno Smith against Marcus Mariota. I'd have probably wanted to slap you because the state of the game wouldn't be great. That's the situation, but
Could be
that's where we
worse.
find ourselves.
Could be Drew Lock.
Could be.
You've got this real love fetish for Drew Lock.
No, I haven't. Yeah, I have. I really haven't, man. Sorry.
Okay, so another team that is unavoidably 0-2 are the Cincinnati Bengals. Wow. This is not going according to the script for these boys.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said we kind of touched on it in the main pod in that the Bengals spent a load of money on their offensive line to stop Burrow getting hit, and Burrow's getting hit just as much as he was before they spent the money.
He's on course to be sacked 100 times this season.
It's nuts, absolutely nuts. I'm not too worried about the Bengals though. Strangely, yeah. They'll get it together at some point. They'll string together 4 or 5 wins, and we'll all forget that they were 0-2. But
it depends which way you look at it, because you can say they lost to the Steelers, divisional game, lost by 3 points. Fine. They lost to the Cowboys away by 3 points. Okay, fine. Flip that and say you lost to Mitch Trubisky and you lost to Cooper Rush. So it's perspective.
And they were
Either
down
way.
17-3, wasn't it? At half
Either
time.
way,
they were not good against.
It's
the
not always the
Cowboys.
fact that you lose and how much you lose by. Sometimes it's how you lose, if that makes sense. It's not what you lose by in terms of points, but yeah,
it
it's
definitely
awful.
looks
Awful.
disjointed. It's not the smooth machine that it was towards the end of last season.
I thought this was going to be the season of Joe Mixon. He was okay week 1. Week 2, I don't remember really seeing him all that much in terms of big power play runs.
Some of that is down to that Cowboys defense. They are very good on defense, especially in that kind of linebacker area. They can close a running back down and shut him down quite quickly. So I'm not surprised Mixon didn't do much. The one that surprised me more was that receiving core of Higgins, Chase,
Boyd, Hurst.
Boyd. Yeah. All right, they might take away 1 or 2, but you've got enough receivers there that you should be able to find somebody open when you need to. And they just, again, don't seem to be doing that. So I'm not panicking about the Bengals. I think they'll be absolutely fine. They'll still be there or thereabouts for the division title come the end of the season. But I think the longer this goes on, if it goes on, then maybe it's some changes in the play calling that need to happen. I don't know, but something needs to change.
They lose to the Jets.
They'll win a couple of games.
Panic.
Yeah, they'll win a couple of games, and it'll be.
That's it. It's get the first one on the board, and the rest will start falling into place.
The next few games, they're away to the Jets, and they're home against the Dolphins, away to the Ravens, away to the Saints, home against the Falcons. There's 3 games in there that they can win. It's not
3 or 4.
I don't think it's panic time yet.
If you lose to the Jets, I mean, it is in the Meadowlands, but I'd panic.
Imagine if they lose to the Jets, then they get done by the Dolphins.
They
and
lost
then
to
it's
the Jets.
0-4.
They lost to the Jets in the Meadowlands last season.
They did, yeah.
So they'll want a It
that was Zach Wilson,
games
not
the
Joe
Jets won.
Flacco.
Yeah.
So if you lose to Mitch Trubisky, Cooper Rush, and Joe Flacco, then
Questions
up,
have
boys.
to be asked.
pack it up. The last team that's 0-2.
Not
Who
panicking.
is it?
Not panicking, Punk.
Oh, the Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders.
No, I forgot you were own too.
The Raiders.
I forgot they existed.
Yeah, no, it's. Look, we said at the beginning of the season.
You said at the beginning. I know what you're
No,
going to say.
hang on.
You said at the
Let
beginning.
me say it. At the beginning
Give
of the
them a call for the
season,
ages.
we said the stupid thing in our division, and you said this as well, Dave, for your Broncos as well, was that either of our teams could start 0-4, could start 4-0, but we could still also make the playoffs. I'm not panicking. All that happened at the weekend for us not to beat the Cardinals was they took their foot off the pedal far too early. The play calling just sank into Gruden nothingness. And so, we didn't score enough points in the second half. We only needed one more touchdown or one more field goal, or even just Max Crosby holding on to the midget. But, it was, I'm not panicking. The pieces are there. You can see the intent. We've just got to learn to finish games. That's what it is. Obviously, in the first week against the Chargers, it was more Derek Carr got all excited and decided to throw a load of Winston-esque interceptions. So, that's individual mistake. You can't do a huge amount about that during the game. So, we've got the Titans next week, who I fully expect us to beat. After that, we enter a little bit of a run of a couple of winnable games. So, I'm really not panicking. If we go 0-6, then I might hit the panic button. But at the moment, I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah, so your couple of winnable games after the Titans are your home to the Broncos, away to the Chiefs.
Yep.
The thing is, I remember the conversation. I purposely did not say that the Broncos would ever start 0-4. I didn't believe in any circumstance we would, because we opened with Seattle, who I had us penciled in to beat, and against Houston. So in no world did I think we'd be unbeaten after 2. We're unbeaten after 1, having played absolutely pants. But yeah, you said the Raiders can either be, what was it? That it wasn't 13-3, it was 14-3 or 3
14-3 or 3-14.
Yeah,
but I mean, we'll probably. I still think we'll probably get to 9 or 10 wins, even with these couple of early losses.
The thing I'm surprised about more than anything is that your run game is yet to really work. I thought with the backfield sort of opening up because of the fact you've got Adams and because Waller's back and I thought your run game would really start to get going. It just hasn't at the moment.
The problem, you've got 2 issues there. Number one is that we're not getting the ball down the field enough to Waller and Adams, as seen with Adams's 2 catches for 12 yards or whatever it was on Sunday. Yeah. The other problem you've got is the offensive line it's not dreadful, but it's very much a work in progress. So we're not as bad as the Bungles seem to be at the minute, but it certainly ain't great. So they're just not opening up the holes for Jacobs at the minute. I mean, he's doing all right with what he's being given, but we need to make some adjustments on that O-line and really start, using the run game better, which then, exactly as you say, opens up the passing game. Now, you can do it the other way around and use the passing game to open up the run game, but in order to do that, you still need that offensive line. And if you start taking your foot off the gas and trying to just throw these little swing passes and stuff, that's not going to get you anywhere. So I'm not panicking, definitely not panicking. No big red buttons. We're still going to be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. But yeah, it's just a bit of a dodgy start. That's all.
So you drafted Samir White, running back. Is he injured or is he not played? He's
coming in every so often, but he's not doing a huge amount at the minute. It's kind of one of those situations where it's Jacobs' spot to lose. But if we're not really using a run game as such, then he's not going to lose his spot. So
you also picked up Brandon Bolden from the Pats as well, who I quite like.
Yeah, he's done absolutely fine. The one that I'd say, if you wanted to point a bit of a finger at and go, he's not really performing how you'd expect him to, is Chandler Jones. So, Crosby's getting in and getting home on one side, and Jones isn't really doing what was advertised on the other side.
He did get a sack, didn't he? Against
he did get one. He did get one in the end, but he's just not. He seemed, unlike we're a bit spoiled in that Crosby is just 110 mile an hour every single play. It's very obvious Jones is a little bit older, a bit more of a veteran, and just looks after himself a little by taking the odd play off. But I don't hold that against him at all. He's just
that should be down to management. Take him out on first down, play him second and third.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's some of that is going to be down to squad rotation and stuff. So, Jones is the one I'd like to see a little bit more from. Defensively, though, we haven't been too bad. Linebackers haven't been great. Divine Diablo's all right, but he's not setting the world on fire. He's not playing as well as he did last season, put it that way. I'm hoping it's just a bit of a slow start, and with all the new coaches and everything else, it's just taking a little bit longer to kind of slot everything into place. I mean,
It
the one
can't be
thing we
that
didn't
bad.
do
I
was
saw-
play any first teams in pre-season. So, you know, literally week 1 was our pre-season game. So,
Snap, Broncos done the same.
yeah, exactly.
One thing
So-
I did see is that Jonathan Abraham made a play, so it's not all bad. It's first time in 3 years.
Abraham's made a play or two. Someone had an amazing hit. I can't even remember who it was now.
Was it a Raiders
Annoying.
player?
Yes, it was a Raiders player.
Okay.
No,
So
right at the end of
exactly
the
what
fourth
Can't
quarter on one of the Cardinals' fourth down drives, someone made a hit and jarred the ball out when it was basically an open touchdown. I can't remember who it was. Was it Harmon?
after-
It was Teron Harmon,
Rom,
maybe.
yeah, he did pretty well in the game.
Yeah. So I think it was Harmon just came across and took out the wide open Cardinals receiver and basically saved a touchdown. That would have ended the game in normal time, pretty much. But yeah, no, we've not been great. We've been good in fits and spurts. You know, you go 20-0 up, and that first half, Cardinals couldn't do a thing. They adjusted. We didn't. We took our foot off the gas. We started playing this 10-yard prevent defense that I absolutely hate, and you know, it just all fell apart.
It's like in cricket when you put men on the boundary and accept the single.
Yeah,
doesn't work.
exactly that. Exactly that.
At least you can score 20 points, eh?
You're just
So,
ticking
you know,
over. That's
Some
it.
of us aren't
We
managing
can
that at the
score.
moment. So.
We can score. Even without Devontae Adams, we can score.
So based on what we've seen so far this season, there's an assassin hitman squad out on Matt Canada. There's the obvious stuff going on with Denver at the moment, and some unhappiness with the Raiders. Where did you see your teams at the beginning of the season, and where do you see them now? Has it changed your opinion on what's achievable? What's your win total column going to look like, do you think? I'm happy to start to give you a little bit of time to think. I saw the Broncos potentially winning between 10 and 12. I am hopeful that they can get that together and sort of get closer towards the 10 mark, just because we play some easy teams. We're twinned with the AFC South, which gives you a couple of wins based on what we've seen so far. If we get 10 now, I'm happy, to be perfectly honest, based on what I've seen.
I had Steelers and Broncos going 11-6 and the Raiders going 12-5. They will all be readjusted in a few weeks. Because
what you seeing now then? What's your feeling at the moment? If you said, "Oh, Raiders to get 4," and they end up getting way more than that, I'm not going to hold it against you. But you can only base it what you've seen so far.
Raiders could still easily get 10 wins. They could. That offense is good enough to put up the points that other teams can't handle. Broncos are the real kind of weird one.
A real head scratcher, the Broncos.
Yeah, because they've got pieces to use, but they just don't seem to put it together. And I'm very worried about Nathaniel Hackett. I would have no thought that he would be. He hasn't proved himself. I'm trying to get around that way to say that I don't rate his career as a coach. He was a towel handler for Aaron Rodgers. And so,
yes, but look what he did in Jacksonville before that. He got Blake Bortles to the AFC Championship game as an offensive coordinator.
Oh, the defense got them to the championship game. They didn't. There was no offensive guru working there for Blake Bortles.
He built an offense that was able to get enough done. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, they had good receivers that bailed out Blake Bortles. I remember that season. I remember it.
But they still had playoff Lenny, who was doing enough to get them through in the playoffs and power running. But they had an offense that was good enough, but nowhere near. I mean, good enough not to lose the game. Which, when you've got Blake Bortles in your side, you still deserve some credit for doing that. But based on that CV, I mean, he's not proven to be successful so far. But I just want him to count.
This smells like
just to go back to your original
original
question about records and stuff. I'd never had your teams as high as you guys did. I had you both at about 8 or 9 wins. So for me, nothing's changed. I think it's the same. I had the Raiders in. I think I had similar to you, Jim. I had us in that 10, 11, 12 bracket. Again, I might be adjusting slightly down, but I can still see us winning 10 or 11. There's no reason to think that we can't. I mean, I haven't seen anything from the Broncos that make me think all of a sudden you're going to go on a tear and start beating teams 35-15 or something.
Yeah,
You know?
you know what? The only positive that we've had. So there's two positives that we've had so far. The first one is secondaries look good, but now we've lost Justin Simmons for a while. Pat Satan also came off with a shoulder injury in the last game as well, but it looks as though it's not going to be too bad. The secondaries look good. Second thing is the run game has been phenomenal so far. We're averaging big old chunk plays and we're dominating. And the fact that you've got then an offensive play caller who's still managing to shoot himself in the arse. No, Aqib Talib.
So Wilson.
Yeah. With a good run game. I mean, how'd you do that? If you've got a good run game that's averaging 4, 5, 6 yards a carry, how do you then still manage to mess up? It's not. I don't understand. It's just not. They need to get it together, but there's so many issues at the moment. There's
It
so many.
sounds.
Just
It,
having
what you're
awareness
saying,
that
Dave, about
number
him-
41 exists, and that if you get to 40, it then goes to 41 and the clock's out. That's all
Yeah,
you need to be aware of.
what you said in the main pod about him, well, them running out of time to say the play, smells to me like Hackett has to impress on Russell Wilson that he is the guru and he has the playbook that's going to win the game. And so I can't let you do what you want to do, Russ. You need to follow what I want to do. But it's taken him so long to explain it, or he's trying to be so overcomplicated that it's just getting messed up. I think
It was a
he
similar
needs
thing
to
a
step
few
back
years
slightly,
ago.
but he won't because he's a first-time head
I can't-
coach and he's going to need to impress on the team that he is the
can't
genius.
I can't remember the head coach name. It was Steve something at the Cardinals. What was his name? Steve. He was Josh Rosen was his
Wilkes.
quarterback. Steve Wilkes, that was it. And they were having to have a hybrid play calling because you couldn't just say the play. You had to sort of explain it, and X is doing this, Y is doing that, blah blah.
Yep.
And a lot of the time they were running out, but that was down to the quarterback, not understanding play calling fully. Now, no one, I mean, even if people who say Russ is over the hill and blah blah blah, you cannot accuse him of not understanding play calling. So the criticism can only go in one direction. But it's, as I said on the pod, it's absolutely fundamentally unacceptable what's going on at the moment. It's utterly pathetic, and you have to improve. It's as simple as that.
And it's brilliant on a Patreon episode where we're talking about teams that hadn't won a game. You managed to crowbar the Broncos into this. So thanks,
I mean,
Dave.
we won a game based on pure luck. Yes, I mean, let's be honest. The way that we played, if we'd played any half decent team this week and it hadn't have been in Denver, we'd have lost. If it had been in Houston, we'd have lost the game. We didn't deserve. When you've got the crowd counting down from 40, come on, it's
I remember last time I heard that. It's been a long time since I heard the crowd counting
Yeah.
down the play clock.
Someone
Yeah.
said it happened to the Bears in the 70s, apparently.
I don't know about that.
But yeah,
I'm
but
sure
honestly,
it's happened a few times, but
Chargers would have done it if they had enough crowd to actually be
You
heard
wouldn't
on
hear
the
them
field.
anyway.
So
They
yeah,
did.
just,
just
be
didn't
hearing the
hear.
popcorn sellers.
drowned out by the away fans.
Yeah.
So guys, those are the 6 teams that have failed to get a win on the board. We'll
Plus
be
the
back next week
Broncos.
with more, plus the Broncos. We're back next week with more Patreon extra footage. But until then, I've been Jim. That's been Never Dave. That's been Punk Raider. Cheers.